So hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So this video is going to be the third video. Okay, I have already recorded the command pattern and chain of responsibility. If you haven't watched, please go and watch those videos. Okay, so starting from the definition, this video is not going to be very long. Okay, I'll be explaining you some of the concepts that is used in this strategy pattern, some of the components that are being used in order to implement this pattern, and one example that will be enough to understand this pattern. Okay, and what are all the consequences without using the strategy pattern that we would have faced if we would not know how to use this pattern. Okay, so let's start with the definition. The strategy pattern allows you to define a family of algorithms, encapsulate each one and make them interchangeable. Okay, the client can choose which algorithm to use at runtime without changing the code that uses it. Okay, let's understand what this definition is trying to say. Okay, so instead of hard coding the logic inside a class, the strategy pattern delegates the responsibility to segregate strategy classes. Okay, I'll explain you what it is trying to say. So each strategy represents a different way of doing something. The client just plugs in the desirable strategy and the context executes it. Okay, so let's say in a class you have multiple different things. Okay, based on some certain conditions you want different things to be executed. So the ideal way of doing, which we have been doing till now, is using the if else case. Okay, if or else if. Okay, using this chaining in order to implement something. But the strategy pattern tells us that whatever logic that you write inside that if or else if, make it as a strategy and separate it. Okay, so this is the whole concern of this strategy pattern, that separate the logic that is being used on a certain condition. Okay, so why it is introduced? So it introduced to avoid massive if else switch statement when multiple algorithms are possible. Okay, to decouple the algorithm from the client and making client more feasible and maintainable. Okay, to allow runtime selection of behavior. At runtime we can switch these strategies in order to implement our business logic. Okay, and without modifying the existing classes. Okay, what problems it solves? So the first problem that strategy pattern solves is the code will be hard to change, means code rigidity. If the algorithm is hard coded, any change requires editing the class itself. Again, if you would have watched my command and chain of responsibility, you'll get to know that each pattern has something common. Every some or other patterns are violating the open close principle, which is the major thing. Okay, which we don't want the code to violate this principle. Okay, if you haven't watched that, what are the solid principles, I have already recorded. You all can go and watch that. Okay, so let's see an example. So class payment service void pay. So based on the certain condition, which is credit card, I want this logic to be executed. Based on this certain condition, which is the PayPal, I want this logic to be executed. Now the consequences is it breaks open close principle. What is open close principle? The code should be open for extension but closed for modification. Means the code should always be open for extension but it should be closed for modification. Means if there is new requirement came, let's say some Paytm or something came, so we need to modify this class, but that's the whole point of open close principle, that you cannot modify the existing class, you can make it open for extension. Okay, so the solution is algorithm lives in a separate classes so that we can at a runtime change the classes and implement our business logic. So adding a new algorithm means just add a new class, no edits to the existing code. Okay, that's what strategy pattern gives the power. Okay, this is the bad code. Okay, writing the if else multiple times. Okay, if you'll see this, writing if else case, and if there's new requirement came, again you'll write that else if. Okay, so the second thing is code duplication. Multiple clients often need similar logic but end up writing their own versions. Each client duplicates the same algorithm and with a slight variations. Let's say every other class, for example order service and invoice service, they want to calculate the percentage discount. So the percentage discount formula is very simple. Okay, and very common to all the services, but what they do, they define the similar method in each of their services and utilize it. So instead of duplicating the code, we can separate this code in a separate method or separate service and utilize it later. So the solution it gives is put that algorithm percentage discount strategy in one place, both order service and invoice service just plug in the same strategy. Okay, now let's move to the important part, which is the components of strategy pattern. So this is the 4 components that we are going to see in order to implement any problem that is getting solved using this strategy pattern. Okay, so strategy pattern interface defines the common behavior. That is the that is how interface works. So whenever you want to put something in an interface, you always try to put something that is related to that interface. Okay, so example, payment strategy, that is that I have taken from the code example. So next is concrete strategies, which is nothing but the classes which implement that strategy. So implement different algorithms. Okay, context, it actually maintains a reference to a strategy and delegates execution. So context is the actual method delegation. By looking at the code example, you'll get clear idea of all those 4 components. Okay, and this is the client code which chooses which strategy to use at the runtime. Okay, let me move to the code, then I'll again come back to this components and make it more clear. Okay, so what are the 4 components? Strategy interface, concrete strategies, context, and client. Okay, so now let's see the code example. So this is the strategy, and these are the 4 concrete strategies that is implementing this strategy. Okay, so 4 concrete strategies, 1 strategy, and this is the context. Okay, based on this context, whatever conditions you'll pass, it will delegate the work to corresponding, you'll say strategies, or you'll say the part of code, anything. So based on this context only, your conditions will be passing, and it is the deciding factor that which methods will getting implemented of that particular class. Now let's see the client code. So what we have done, we have created a context. Okay, so now inside that context we are passing the concrete strategies which we want to be executed. So what we are doing, context dot set payment, this we are calling. So context dot set payment, so we are passing the concrete strategy which is nothing but the credit card payment. So for now it is having credit card payment. Okay, now what we are calling execute payment, we are passing 1000. So since this strategy holds the credit card payment dot pay, which is amount, so credit card pay dot amount, this gets delegated to this method. Okay, pay, credit card pay, so we'll print paid amount 1000 using credit card. Similarly, we have used PayPal payment, so now the strategy will hold the PayPal payment. Okay, so it will call PayPal payment dot pay amount, so it will go here, and it will call paid amount using PayPal. Okay, same as with UPI payment. Now again, set payment strategy as new UPI payment, set payment strategy as new UPI payment, it will use UPI payment. Now UPI payment dot pay, as we are calling execute payment, so it will call UPI payment dot pay method. So similarly we are doing with the wallet payment. So this is all about the strategy pattern. Okay, so I hope you got a clear picture of this strategy pattern, and I'll suggest you to practice some problems which can be solved using this strategy pattern, so that you all can get a broader view of like how or where all we can use this pattern. Okay, so that is it for this video. So thank you for watching and having patience. So thank you.